Well, hello, Bashir. Hello, Diallo. How are you guys today?
Good, good. Chilling.
Really good. Nice to talk with you. How are you?
It's nice to talk with you too. I'm well, thank you so much. I'm better because of you guys. So when I knew I was going to interview you, I waited until the very end before today to watch your show so I could be
Hmm.
real fresh off of it. And let me tell you, I needed every bit of that entire show.
Mm.
I I had to turn it off for a second because it was messing up my makeup, and I'd already done my makeup. That was so beautifully, no cap, as the kids say. That is the funniest thing I have seen in a
Mm.
long, long, long time.
Oh my God! Thank you so much.
That's
I
It
mean,
all. That's all we
is,
wanted to hear.
it
That's
is
all. That's
hilarious.
literally all we wanted to hear. Thank you. Take care. We're
Okay, thank
gonna
you.
take her out.
And scene. Mhm. No, no lie. From the moment it started until it ended, I hollered and had tears running down my eyes. How do you guys come together and say, you know what? Let's make a variety show, but it has to be throwback, but we still need some modern references in it. It's just so layered, and that's what makes it truly, truly funny. How did you
thank
guys
you.
come together to even begin to craft this, and how long did that process take for you to get to this?
Mm.
Starting with Diallo.
Well,
Mm.
let's tell you a little bit how the sausage is made. We don't have a lot of time to write this show. We don't have a lot of time to shoot it,
Mhm.
just given the economics of it. The fact is that, and I'm not trying to play coy. I love everything you said about the show. I think that, in truth, we just write what we think is funny.
Yep.
Bashir and I met in college. I feel like we've always been unique, uniquely nerdy when in each other's company. Like we love to talk about everything from Star Trek to the Muppet Show, the comedy of Pee Wee Herman,
Mm.
old random movies that are forgotten outside of film schools, but we'll be like, hey, do you remember that genre movie that was like? And then of course the music, like we still listen to music all the time. There's a reason why the music of the showcase is on Mad Decent, which is DJ Diplo's label, because we love music. We continue to listen to it. We're not those guys who are like, man, hip hop topped out in 1995. I don't want to hear any of these new cats. Like we're not those guys. Like I think
Right.
every year has great music, which is why every time you look up, people are talking about the music from 20 years ago. So in the 90s, people were like, man, they're never going to make music as good as funk anymore. And nowadays, people are like, man, they're never going to make hip hop as good as in the 90s. Like every year has good music. So we just wanted to make sure that everything that we did, from the comedy to the music to the type of guests that we were bringing on the show, that it reflected our worldview and our
Hmm.
sort of like standard of quality. We do have a very high standard of quality. The music, we spent a lot of time on the music. We spent a lot of time on every line of dialogue in the show.
True.
And yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's clear. That's very clear. Go ahead with what you were going to say, Bashir.
I was just gonna say, I think Sherman Showcase is a big old toy box of our interests. I think one of the things that is so important for me to talk about whenever I do interviews is that you can't put black people in a box. You can't be like, well, black people like this, they like
Right.
that. I mean, even between me and Diallo, there's a lot of stuff we like in common. There's a lot of stuff we don't like in common. When we were taking the show around the first time, we would go to festivals, and I would always talk to people and say, well, what other TV shows are you watching? And everybody I talked to gave different answers. And so, for me, that just lets me know that it's right for us to really pursue our passions, and that those are the same interests that other people will have, and they'll be attracted to it. And even people who don't have those interests will get a kick out of how much we love it. We'll get a kick out of our nerddom over some of this stuff, our nerddom around the lore of He-Man, and whatever that sketch is about. It really is something that we're both, or either of us or both of us, are passionate about, and that's kind of been our north star for the creation of this process. And the other thing I'll say is, not only did we have this long, because you asked about how the show was made, we had this long education in sketch comedy. The I started the sketch comedy group in like 2004, 2005. Back in the day, we was doing like random stages. Then we were doing a YouTube sketch comedy group. And then by hook and by crook, we got hired by David Allen Greer. And then we got hired by Jimmy Fallon. We ended up moving to New York and really learning, in the 30 Rock building, like professional sketch comedy making. And so all that is brought to bear for Sherman Showcase. But I do think the most important thing is like, we both come from really big families, and so for our writer room, we just trying to create, that vibe. We're trying to create like a family vibe, and when you come from a big family, you got to be loud. You might not get fed if you don't speak up. So you got to be loud. You got to make some noise, and our writers really had this really great vibe in the room. And so what you see on TV is actually whatever was making a bunch of Black writers laugh the most.
What made it particularly enjoyable for me, because there's such like a lot of low-hanging fruit comedic approaches you can take to sketch comedy, from white people this to black people that. I mean, it's kind of really low-hanging fruit.
I'm laughing at that. I'm laughing at
that joke.
Well, there's some at the top of the tree kind of fruit you can go at. But
I'm like, keep going.
Listening.
Well, I think I'm funny. So I mean, if you ever want me, I think I'm haha, like I think I'm hella funny,
Hey.
but other people probably would beg to differ. But it was just so layered, and it was just so, the things that you find amusing, but you can't really articulate. And I think that's what you nail. The one sketch about the vampires sent me. That's when I had to hit pause and take a walk outside. That's all I'm going to say about it, because I don't want to give it away before it premieres. But I think that everyone's always had that same reaction to those type of roles that Black people are put in, or Black versions of things.
Yeah.
Who is the brainchild behind the vampire sketch? Who did that? I want to talk to who did that.
Well, I know who wrote the first draft, but let me just say that literally everything that's on the show goes through this rigorous process. So first we have a rough draft. First we have a pitch. Somebody pitches like, oh, and by the way, that sketch came together sort of interesting. So in season 1 of the show, which you can watch on Hulu, we had a sketch called Brother You Wrong, which was our, Meet the Press / George Stephanopoulos type, roundtable show. And everybody has to start off with, well, brother, you wrong, So we were going to do Brother You Wrong Vampire Edition. Then ironically, like the casting kept changing. And so we were just like, you know what, we're just going to make this its own segment. And we'll have Bashir as his Black Dracula, not Blackula, Black Dracula character host it. And then at some point we wrote a draft, and then we wrote another one, and we went back and we revised. With that sketch, as opposed to many of our other sketches, there was a lot of room for improv. So I remember after every take, we'd all come off to the side and people would like pitch lines and jokes to each other. And two of my favorite lines in that piece are not even in the script. They were just things that we asked people to say when we were off in the wings, like preparing to go again. Not every sketch on Sherman's loans itself to a lot of improv, but that one did. And I think some of the finest moments in that are Bashir and our other inspired players, just being inspired.
Another thing that was fascinating to me is people that I didn't expect to be funny were super duper funny, like John Legend. When I think of John Legend, I don't think of, he's so funny. Maybe his wife is pretty funny, but I never connect that with him. How did John become involved with the project? Because he just did beautifully, and it was cool to see him doing something outside of his norm, Bashir.
It's interesting. John's wife, and it's really kind of complicated because John's wife and Diallo's wife had another mutual friend whose husband is also a buddy of Diallo and mine from college. So the women became friends first, and then like Diallo.
This by the way is before. I mean, Chrissy's been famous for a long time, but this is before the Chrissy that we know now was out there. Go ahead, B.
And I'm so Diallo and John would then see each other casually at events that they have been invited to, and they started talking. And it turns out that because we went to John Legend and us have a surprising amount of simpatico. We have a somewhat similar, obviously very different lives, but I'm saying, he's from the Midwest, I'm from the Midwest. And
he's from a pretty big family.
He's from a big family. And so they were just vibe of like, oh, you kind of remind me of one of my boys. And that's really where it came from. It was like hanging out with a college friend. And then, as it turns out, he really loves comedy. And so we had this show, we really wanted to do this show, this musical show that had
tremendous comedy elements, but also a really strong music point of view. We felt like it was a natural fit to have John be an executive producer because he's somebody who not only has high standards for comedy, but would also help us really keep the standard high for the music, and also help us really get through the many layers and filters you got to go through to actually get something on the air. You kind of need a heavyweight sometimes. And for us, luckily, with this TV show, John Legend was that heavyweight. But the more important thing is that he really gets us comedically, and he gets the joke. Diallo and I spent 4 years at Jimmy Fallon. We worked with all types of celebrities, and sometimes they would be brilliant comedic geniuses, and sometimes they had never done comedy, and it was like they were trying to figure it out. But with John is somebody, he kind of knows what the joke is, he gets it, and he's in on it. And that was just a value add. So whenever we say, hey, look, we know you're in the EP, but we want you to do some sketches with us, he steps up, and we probably do, I think with his sketches, we usually do like 2 takes. I mean, he just nails it.
Wow.
Really fast. And, it's just been a lot of fun. Again, for me, it just really feels like sitting with my boys at the lunch table in college and just like, having fun with each other, making each other laugh, and then being able to bring that to screen, especially with somebody who's a superstar. I often forget that, because we're so cool. I mean, hanging out with this guy, I'm like, oh wait, that's like John Legend. It's like that is not just like another random friend. That is like this incredibly talented.
Yeah, he's not a whole lot different in person than the person that you see on TV, which is also refreshing for us because it's not like he's somebody who has to like flip a switch and then turn into a loose, superstar John Legend. Like, nah, he's just a chill dude. Bashir always tells a story. The first time he came over to John's house, John was walking around like eating barbecue with a little bit of barbecue on the side of his mouth. He's like, "Oh, this is just a dude." Like, so that part of it's really cool. And I mean, like, kudos to him, man. He literally, we gave him a song idea on set, and he turned that thing. He nailed the joke, played the piano, sang it perfectly. I was just like, no one man should have all this talent. It's not fair.
Yeah.
And that is a perfect pivot. Now, it just was going to be my next question. After you've gotten all this dialogue, then you have these musical numbers that are sometimes even funnier than the sketch itself. The add some, it hurts me so that you had already filmed Add Some Kente on it before our Congress people were taking a knee in the Kente. I feel like you guys are turning into the Simpsons. How they say the Simpsons are predictive of everything in the future. Are you guys going to be the new predictor for what's going to happen in the future?
We have this one sketch called Trump One-Term President that I'm very proud of. No, like seriously, we could have never predicted it, but like we've said, like Bashir and I come from these like very socially conscious, large Black families. So kente cloth, Kwanzaa, all that stuff is what we came from. And those are the kind of things that we don't see. I mean, and SNL obviously is not going to do anything about it.
Right.
Thank God for a Black Lady sketch show and a few other places where, real Black experience, like that real Black, you know what I mean? Like, I always say that, artists like Kenny Lattimore, that's like real Black R&B. Like that, there ain't a whole lot of white people at the Kenny Lattimore concert. You know what I'm saying? Like we
you never know, man. You never know. You might be surprised.
After the Jordan documentary, maybe they'll be there. But you know what I'm saying, though. You know what I'm saying? Like they know B2K, but they may not know.
Totally.
My. So that's the level of which that we sort of try and play in, and. So for us, it wasn't really that we needed to predict the future. We just need to speak our truth at the time. And it's like the world came around to opening up to more about what's going on with Black people, more about, opening up to our perspective. So, that is the silver lining of this moment, that we get to come out at a time when people are legitimately talking about some Black stuff right now. You know what I mean?
And lastly, it's kind of like asking somebody to pick your favorite child. You can't pick your favorite child.
Uh-oh.
For each of you, which were for the episode that I've seen the episode 1 of season 2, what were your first sketches or your favorite sketches of that episode? Because
that's a good question.
My God, the house music version, the reggae whipping kids' ass. Like there was just
whip the kids.
I laughed from the minute it started.
You know what I like?
Literally till it ended. I'll
tell you, one of my favorite sketches that we did in the Spectacular is a game show sketch called Get Your Boy. I like that it's a phrase that their bros just say, hey, you need to get your boy. I love that we turn into a game show, but also, Diallo's from Atlanta, so he's really from that like snap music. Like that's in the DNA of his musical experience. I love that we made a song, and because we're a sketch comedy show, and because Sherman is such an offbeat sketch comedy show, the song in that sketch is almost as, to some degree, might even be more important than the actual game we're playing. Because the guys come out and do this whole like get your boy sketch and they do a snap. And I'm just like, nobody else on TV could do this but our show. And for me, I'm always the most proud about stuff. And I'm like, nobody can do that but us. Like that, for me, is how you really create your legacy in entertainment, is to continue to, to do things that others aren't able to do or just can't do because the platform is different.
We worked with a lot of musical collaborators on this show. Fonte Coleman of the group Little Brother and
Fonte.
Shout out
Fonte.
Very best.
I told him, I literally called him one day. I was like, look, man, we wanted to do a reggae song in season 1 and we never got around to it. We're definitely doing a reggae song for the Black History Month special. I kind of give him misdirect. I was like, I think it maybe sounds like a beautiful reggae song like No Letting Go by Wayne Wonder. Maybe it sounds like that song, And he was like, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. He came out with a song that sounded nothing like Wayne Wonder. It was actually like sort of like a more hard Shaka Demus and Pliers type dancehall track. But it just hit so hard. And we were trying to figure out, I actually wanted to name the artist Blue Nile Crocodile Ranks because that was like a funny dancehall name that me and Bashir used to throw around back in our college days. But he was like, you know what? Ever since I was ever since I was young, he was like, I always thought, there was an artist named Mad Cobra. I was like, what if they took an animal that doesn't even live in warm climates like Jamaica's in? He was like, so I'll call myself Mad Walrus. And I was like, Mad Walrus. And the first time I heard him say, don't call child services on the walrus. Like, I was like, this is a hit. I love this so much. And this is a good story. Black creators, we always feel a certain need to make sure that we're not putting the wrong stuff out into the universe. So there was a part of me, I was like, I don't want to do anything where people are going to be whipping their kids and singing some songs that we wrote.
Oh my God.
But I do think that because we contextualize it as some of the things on this showcase have not aged well. Here's a song from the 90s called Whoop the Kids. I think we're letting people know, look, we're not saying this is cool, but this is something a lot of us had to put up with as children, and now we can look back on it and laugh a little bit.
Well, I thank you. I feel like this show was written just for me because it was
that's what we love to hear.
Every single thing landed. It was perfect. It was right in my age group because I feel like we're in the same age range, and it really spoke to the Black experience that other shows just can't speak to because of they just don't know, or networks or whatever. It just felt completely free and liberating and just really authentic. So I thank you for
very
that.
much.
Thank you for having us.
Well, I appreciate
I said we'll come back every time.
Oh, I love that. I spoke to you before, Diallo, when you're doing the show, the Comedy Central show. I caught you on the carpet for that show. So I'm glad to have a chance to talk with you, fine gentlemen, again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.